Welcome back, everybody. We're doing another episode for the FAQs. This one is getting ready for the craft show or maybe like a farmer's market. I am going to just answer some questions that I see in some of the groups that I'm in and put kind of my own commentary on it because I've done quite a few craft shows in the past. It's been, I would say, 5 to 10 years since I've done one, but I used to do them all the time. Can someone explain to me how permits work for events? So if you are going to do any type of farmers market, craft show, all of that is going to be on you. It's going to be something that you're going to have to kind of dig in and find out yourself. Farmers markets are going to be a little bit different as well. You can usually, for the farmers market, contact at least where I'm at, the health department. Or if you don't know who to contact, it's always a good idea to ask the person organizing the event. They usually have a little bit of information on at least who to contact to get you started. And the permits is going to vary by county and stuff like that, so it can get very different. There's no good answer for that except for you just have to do some homework. What are some common methods of payment and how much cash should I take with me for change? I usually double my booth fee. So if the booth fee was $30, I bring 60. If it's $60, I bring 120. I also bring a lot more of the smaller bills, the fives and ones, and then I usually don't bring anything. Maybe I might have one or two 20s, but I usually don't bring anything bigger than that because my items are a low price point. They're usually between a $5 to $10 price point. So I don't need to make a lot of change. Also, you want to think about things if, let's say, you have things priced at like $3. So you're going to be needing a lot of twos to make change if somebody hands you a five or whatever. So kind of keep that in mind. I didn't mess with any change like coins. I just kind of included it all in and just went that route. I know some people do carry coins. It becomes a lot. Also, I wanted to say if you are doing card payment, which I think everybody should because it will boost your sales at any type of market, just to offer that. I actually got a free card reader from Square one time. I don't know if they still do that, but basically you just sign up, they'll send you a free card reader in the mail, and boom, it's done. So you might want to check out, companies like that. I, again, don't know if they still do that. This was years ago. The next one, where can I get a free logo for my business? So this is a great question, and I want to point this out. The answer on the bottom is probably a good answer, but I always try to tell people, especially coming with a graphic design background, you want to do something in Adobe Illustrator, have a vector format. Logo is the best option. I would contact somebody you know to see if they can make that. And the reason I say this is because you might have something on your business card that is maybe only 2 inches big, but then a year later you decide you need a 10-foot banner for some reason. Logos that are made that are just JPEGs, a lot of times you cannot scale them correctly without them looking very pixelated. I don't know if you've ever seen a super pixelated logo, but this is basically what happens. And I know everybody's budget's different. A couple people in here point out Canva or other free options. That is a good idea, but just keep in mind of what you want to do. And you can always start small with something free and then work your way up and have somebody redesign it if it becomes a very profitable business. So it's just something to keep in mind if you don't want to spend the money up front. Also, you want to look into trademarks. You can search that as well. There's I forget what it's called, but you go on it's a government website to see if there's any trademarked items. That's always a good idea too because you don't want to get, sued later down the line. Not super likely, but I have seen it happen. Okay, so this one is talking more about signs and displays, so I'm just going to kind of cover a few things with that. There are lots of cool ways that I have seen signs displayed. I like on the very left picture how we have a basically like a cabinet or whatever or a shelf, and then they've kind of just bought a sign and put it over that, so it's kind of camouflaged in with their stuff. And then I like how the banner is up high on the right side here, the blue one. That looks good. And then the middle on this other table looks really cute and it kind of flows with it. It's not super distracting. I always picked like a really big banner. I would recommend where I got mine from was only like $10. I was getting other things as well. Vistaprint was fine with me. If you have a local print shop, sometimes I can do this stuff pretty cheap. It costs me maybe $10 to $15 at the time. They also have other options that I've seen. I forget what they're called, but they're like a wavy flag. You can do one of those. Those look really nice as well. But you just want something that can be durable for all weather. And kind of transitioning a little bit, we're going to talk about your product display. So this person talks about their bookmarks. I personally don't make bookmarks, but it's talking about how to display items. And she's talking about her bookmarks, like too much of the product is covered. So a couple of people gave good ideas on how to display them so people could see more. And I like that little folder kind of thing where there's little rows and dividers. You can put them in there, and then below that somebody put like you just need it to do a smaller band so people can see more of it. Those are both really great ideas. You could still easily print your contact information either on the back or the very top of it. So it's probably super cost effective, probably costs, a few pennies. There's also somebody that said, a cello bag. Those work great too for something like this. So you always want to think about how your product's going to look and how it's presented. That's always important. We also have a lot of shelf displays. I just wanted to show you something that I learned from doing craft fairs. So people are asking, how do we get the most space out of like a 10 by 10 booth? And what I learned is that you want to set up maybe 1 to 2 tables is how I did it. But then the rest of your stuff you want to stack high. So like this lady here, she has crates and one lady has shelves. You can see how they're stacking the price, the products high, and they're using their vertical space very well. The more different type of tiers you can set up to make your eye kind of like wander up and down your booth is always a good idea. It's just more appealing to the eye to do something like that. We also on this one, the ladies on the left, all of her cakes and candles, I think is what it is, they look beautiful because she spent a lot of time with her cohesive, both of these girls actually, their cohesive style of branding and color schemes. So when you package, make sure it matches what you're doing. I also like the lady on the right. She has a little game that you might do where you spin the wheel and then you can maybe either get a percentage off or a coupon. I've seen people do this with little claw machines. You pay to play and then you win a prize, but they are not necessarily gambling because no matter what you do, you are winning. So you want to be careful too about gambling because gambling can be, you do need permits for that basically. So keep that in mind when you're doing your booths. And then this is just more displays. I put the one on the left here with her purple kind of galaxy table covers, and all of her space is vertical. But what I wanted to say about the table covers themselves, some vendor fairs will be very specific and tell you can only use white, or some will say you can only use black. Some don't care at all. I always had a it was a dark purple, kind of how her galaxy is, that kind of color, but it was very shimmery and very shiny, and I love doing outdoor booths or outdoor shows with it because the sun would just shine on my fabric that I had on the table. It was just fabric that I bought on clearance at discount from Hobby Lobby. It even had Halloween print on it. Did not match the vibe, but the colors that people could see way from across the fair, and they would be like, oh, we saw you way over there and we just thought it looked so pretty, so we wanted to come see what you sold. And I did make a lot of sales that way. So you want to stand out in a positive way, use colors to your advantage and that sort of thing. I liked this display on the left for clothing. It kind of showed how you're already going to be taking your totes, your crates, all that stuff with you. If you can find a creative way to stack your product higher, that is the way to do it because you're saving yourself space. And I like these little chapstick dividers. I just included that in there because I know probably a lot of you may make chapsticks if you follow my channel. So those are also really creative and cute ideas to display them. The last thing I really want to talk about is basically advertising your business and promoting your business. You always want to make sure you have some sort of business card. I like these ideas with the little QR codes so people can get all your social information. That is a great idea. I used to just have a little card that I would put in their basically bag when they bought something, and it would say the words "Let's Get Social" on it, and it would have all my social information, and then it would also have like my website and all of that stuff, my Etsy store located on the card. So it's more of a business card style. It's just something you want to think about. I like the QR codes though, because people can literally scan it with their phone, and it's so much simpler. Back when I used to do craft fairs, they were a thing, but they weren't as like trendy, or people weren't using them as often. I don't think people were super familiar with them. And I love this lady who had a little tiny shopping cart that's cute. People are going to know what that is. They're going to want to look at it. So things like that you can set at your booth to just kind of give it a little bit more fun and inviting feeling. People are going to like that. So if you guys learned something today, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this. I appreciate you guys all watching, and I will see you next time. Alright, if you're still listening, I forgot about these things, so I'm going to consider these 2 bonus tips special for you if you're still listening, and they are going to help you a lot. The first one, if this is your first craft show, vendor fair, whatever, I want to recommend that you find a friend or a buddy if you're unsure of how you're going to like it, how it's going to work. Bring someone with you. Convince them to share a booth. There are sometimes few craft shows that won't allow this, but 9 times out of 10 they really don't care. So like for example, let's say you have a friend that makes like little towels and you make hand soaps. Your guys' businesses kind of work together really well. That would be a perfect person to share it with. One time I shared, and I do soap and bath and body products. I shared a booth with my mom, and she kind of like makes little hand knit clothings and little tiny, basically like Barbie accessories. So she did really well. It was different product. We weren't necessarily competing with each other in any way. So it worked out for us. Plus it split our booth fee in half. So we were both able to come out and make money ahead of the system. Okay, the other thing I want to say is a 3 price point tier system. When you are at a show or really any part of your business, you need to be thinking about this. You want to have a low end, a high end, and a midpoint price point. I didn't learn this until I was like a year into doing craft shows. I had certain items that were like body butters. I talked about chapstick, stuff like that. I had a healing salve. So what I did was, this salve was not selling. I had made a ton of it. It was in 4-ounce jars. There was nothing wrong with it. It was at a $10 price point, which actually was a phenomenal price for what it was. Nobody was buying it. So what I did is I got little tins that were 0.25 ounces, like 0.25 ounces. So it's just like a tiny, tiny sample. And this is like a small little thing. It was almost like something you would use as a round chapstick tin. Or maybe, I don't know what else you put in there. Anyway, I digress. Anyways, I put it in there and I started charging $3 for those. So I could get like, I don't remember, close to 20 out of the 4-ounce, and I was only selling that for 10. And then I would sell the $3 ones so much faster. I just had them in a bowl with a little tag, and I said $3, because almost everybody that was walking by, whether they noticed my booth or not, whether they wanted it or not, they kind of stopped and said, oh, I'll get one of these, or oh, I know somebody, because the price point was just so low. It was like an impulse buy. So you want to make sure you have an impulse buy for somebody. The mid price, I still had the salve at the same price in the large container. I didn't sell a single one, guys. Even though I would point that out here and there to people, they did not care. Another thing, I actually got to throw in a 3rd bonus point, and this is for my bath and body creators. And I got to put the slide in here because I found it somewhere. You want to be setting up a booth with a sink, or what you can do is bring a bowl with you that you can dump water, or go to the bathroom and get some water. Because I had bath bombs at a craft show once, and this was like a higher end market of middle-aged women. Maybe weren't super familiar with the bath bomb itself, but they were paying an entry to get into the craft show to begin with. A lot of the items were high ticket. I wasn't selling this, so I had taken all of my scraps and little pieces of bath bombs that I made. They were just like the leftover ingredients. I put those into a mold, you know, as I was building them, so they are like 1/4 of the size or 1/8 of the size, just tiny. and people would be walking by. Every once in a while I would kind of draw up some noise, and I'd be like, oh, do you want to learn about the bath bombs? And they'd be like, sure. I would do a little demo at my table for them. I would throw the bath bomb into some water and they would watch it fizz. They would smell the aroma. They would see the color release. They absolutely loved it. I sold all of my bath bombs out doing this way. And at previous craft shows, I hardly ever sold bath bombs. So those are 3 bonus tips for you. I know this display shows like a fancy sink and all that stuff. You don't have to get that wild, but it's just to show you guys that the sky is the limit. And you can make a lot of money at craft shows, but you have to get creative. Thank you guys.